Hey guys, welcome back to World of Tanks. My name is Bruce and today I want to present the new tier 6 Italian tank destroyer, the BASSOTTO. If you are interested in more reviews and gameplay, go to YouTube and search for World of Tanks with Bruce to get all of my videos, or click on the subscribe button. And now, let's go. Now, in this video, I will tell you everything you need to know about the new BASSOTTO. Before we start with the gameplay, let me quickly show you the statistics of this tank and compare it to some of its counterparts on tier 6. And therefore, I chose the high alpha tank destroyers that you can play on tier 6, as well as some sniper tanks like, for example, the Jagdpanzer 4. So as you can see, the DPM of this tank is fantastic despite its high alpha damage. So for example, if you compare to the Su-100, the DPM is much higher, but it only has 30 alpha damage less compared to the Su-100. So DPM relatively nice on this tank. Now, gun handling wise, as you can see, yes, the gun handling is not the best one, certainly not compared to the sniper guns on the tier 6 tank destroyers. However, my experience is that the gun handling is not too bad. 2.3 seconds of aim time in reality does not feel too bad for this tank. Now, keep in mind that you pay all the gun handling and the high alpha damage with only 5 degrees of gun depression. However, as you can see, the counterparts also do not have much more gun depression. Maybe the EKV 65-2, the Swedish tank destroyer, with its 10 degrees. Now, you can play the BASSOTTO with a small gun, with the first gun, which in this case you have 10 degrees of gun depression, but I certainly recommend to play this tank with a high alpha gun, because it gives this tank an even higher DPM, plus you can build up damage relatively quickly. Now, it does not have any armor, 75mm, plus the armor is not angled at all on this tank, means that this tank will get punished by every other tank on the battlefield. Now, here comes the main strength, or one of the main strengths of this tank. Look at the stationary camo. 27 means that this is a top value in class, and alongside with the 360 meters of view range, you can make a spotting tank out of this tank. And in fact, in my first gameplay, I will show you how good the spotting capabilities of this tank is. But before we start with the first gameplay, let me quickly show you how I play this tank. So, as you can see, my crew is already pretty experienced. My commander does have 6th sense, then brothers in arms, and also recon. Then the driver has brothers in arms, concealment, and then it is currently working, or she in this case is currently working on repairs. And then as far as the loader goes, this crew member has brothers in arms, then situational awareness, and then concealment. Now, I chose the spotting skills and the concealment skills because I think that this tank is a fabulous spotter and has a wonderful second row that you can play with this tank, besides making damage. And this is why I chose this equipment. So first of all, I use Gunrammer to boost the DPM, and as you can see, 48 damage per minute is an excellent value on tier 6. Furthermore, I play this tank with binoculars and with camouflage net, and so this is what I can achieve as a result. So 59 stationary camo is insane on tier 6 for a tank like this, alongside with the view range of 485. This tank now with this equipment is an excellent spotter. The only thing you have to keep in mind is binoculars and also the camo net only work if you are stationary, and then it basically needs a couple of seconds until it is activated. So this is the only thing you have to keep in mind. But besides this tank now is a fabulous spotter. And now let's jump into the first gameplay. Okay, here we are in the first battle with the BASSOTTO with the 360 alpha gun. Now, two things at the beginning. First of all, there is the option to play this tank with the derp gun. However, My suggestion is don't play tanks with derp guns in general. Maybe play the T49, and I made a dedicated video about this tank. But in general, I do not recommend to play derp guns because they are derpy. They will let you miss targets, miss shots, miss damage, and so my recommendation is to play this tank with the regular 360 alpha gun. Now the second thing is, as we just saw, talking about statistics, this tank is a decent spotter as well. Can be a decent spotter if you manage to go into a position from which you can be stationary, but also then use your binos, your camo net, and then outspot your opponents. And this is exactly what my plan is on Ensk from this side. I think it would also have been the gameplay or the plan to start this game from the other side. But yeah, I'm spotted by the light tank, but this is not a problem because I can go into this ditch, and my task here is first of all to make sure that artillery does not hit me, and this is where the mobility is great. I shouldn't say mobility because, as you saw, the top speed is limited. Let's get a shot on the nice 326, actually a low roll on this tank. The high speed, the top speed is mediocre, only 35 as you saw. However, this is where the good acceleration, the good power to weight ratio helps you out, because we are able to move forth and back, and so evading the enemy artilleries. And both of them are trying to get shots on us, but as I said, with our great mobility, we are able to evade those shells. Now the second thing is, let's try to get a shot on him. Nice, we can finish him off. Yeah, due to the fact that this tank is a 2-shot for our high alpha gun, which is superb if you ask me. The combination of this high alpha damage alongside with the good gun handling makes this tank pretty strong if you ask me. Now another advantage is we could go into this little ditch because the tank has a very low profile, and so this is another advantage of this tank. If you're playing, let's say, mostly German tanks, you will find huge tanks with huge side profiles, and so you are unable to hide in those low, or let's say in those small ditches. But with this tank you can actually hide, and yeah, once again another quality of this tank. So now we want to set up our binos and try to spot enemy tanks. And can we get a shot on the Challenger? No, it doesn't look like. So you know what, let's simply advance. After all, it is already 6-2, and so let's simply go into another bush, be stationary, and then try to spot enemy tanks. So can we get a shot on the artillery? No, doesn't look like, but there is a tank advancing, and our Tiger 131 is one shot, so let's try to support him and see what we can do. After all, we have a 360 alpha gun on tier 6, and so let's pre-aim the shot. Nice. And now, oh yeah, very nice. So with our help, here you go, the enemy BASSOTTO can be taken out of the game, which is excellent. And now, oh, can we get a shot maybe on the artillery? Let's see. No, also not through the building, so maybe a shot on those tanks. No. Yeah, as the BASSOTTO is so flat, has such a low profile, we can actually use the terrain to our advantage. And now, yep, he already spotted us, so you know what, but he has this small alpha gun. And look at this, 371, a little high roll, excellent. And now we can take him out with the second shot. Wonderful. With the BASSOTTO you are able to build up damage rapidly. And let's now jump into the second game. Alright, second game in the BASSOTTO. This time we're spawning on Runeberg, and this time let's take a look at the map and see what options we have. Spawning on Runeberg in the south with a tank destroyer like the BASSOTTO, you have several options. You can play where most of the tank destroyers play, very defensively in this area. However, with a tank which has 360 alpha damage and an insanely good camo value, I think you can support your heavy tanks in the city and maybe play here behind some bushes, or maybe just peek around some corner, make your 360 alpha damage, and then use the good mobility, the good acceleration, also the tank traverse in order to hide from the enemy. So in this game, we are in a top tier scenario. We are a tier 6 tank with 360 alpha damage. So what I want to do is I want to go to the heavy lane and support my heavies, because I think I can make the difference in this game if all the rest of the enemy force, of the enemy tank destroyer force, does not support their heavy tanks. So this is my my calculation right here and my decision making. So I want to go here. Now I want to move behind the bushes, use my camo net and use my spotting abilities to not get spotted, maybe to get some spotting damage, but furthermore to have a first shot advantage and to use my 360 alpha damage against the enemy tanks. So we'll see how it goes. So my camo net is set up. Okay, fortunately he did not spot me, and now here you go. Nice. So yep, I am now spotted, so I want to fall back into cover instantaneously after my shot. But look at this, it's actually a low roll, but 334 alpha damage. Once again, this is what I really like. Okay, here you go, we can spot some tanks. Nice. Now we have to, here you go. Okay, so this is what I actually did not consider. Looks like the distance to the enemy tanks is so close that they would so that they were able to spot me. And also keep in mind that you get the benefit of the camo net, so the additional camo value, only if your tank has been stationary for a couple of seconds, and I think this was not the case right here. So this was something that I did not consider. Okay, so now we lost 2/3 of our hit points, so now we have to play much more cautiously, which is a little bit pity, because my game plan actually was to support our team. However, that's how it is. Now, what you can see in this video as well is the very decent tank traverse. So once again, the mobility is great. The only drawback is the limited top speed of 35. Once again, I'm not spotted. Here we go. And I get another trade. And looks like this tank has the small gun. So I'm trading 148 to 332 alpha damage, which I am going to do any day of the week. Now, I'm now one shot, so I have to play much more cautiously. And I will turn around because... okay, did not pay attention. Because I think the Cromwell Berlin is going to peek around this corner, and due to the fact that I have a high alpha gun, I will simply one-shot him. Nice, and take him out of the game. Now, the problem is that we will be losing the city. Now, as a one-shot, I will not be able to further support my team in the city. But you know what? I can turn around and... okay. And maybe support my team with getting shots on the Type 58. So obviously I have to fully aim in to make this shot over quite a distance. And now as soon as he will peek out once again, I might be able to get a shot on him. So this time it is 2 versus 6, so looks like... there you go. Looks like we will not be able to win this game. However, 1111 damage after only a couple of shots. With this tank you are able to build up damage very, very rapidly. And now, as you can see, all of our tanks, despite the AC4 experimental, are destroyed. So we have to fall back and set up another defensive position to further boost our damage. So I would say 1111 damage is an okay result for a tier 6 tank. However, if we continue to play, if we play a little bit more cautiously than compared to previously, we will be able to make more damage. Unfortunately, this Simo Vente is able to hide. And yeah, but overall, I really like this tank. I like the combination of high alpha gun. The drawback is only 5 degrees of gun depression, which is 5. Not the best gun handling. However, the gun handling is fine, especially for tier 6. And I like the fact that this tank has pretty decent mobility, at least talking about the acceleration and also the tank traverse. So let me see. Nice. 352, excellent. So now we have 1463 damage, and I think we'll be able to make one more shot, and then I think we get a decent result. So let's see how it goes. I guess we will not be able to carry the game against what, 8-9 tanks. Let's see, another shot. I want to use the full HP tank, and another 351. Now we might, yep, we are now taken out of the game, which is nice, but this is how easy you can pick up damage with this tank. So the BASSOTTO is a very fun tank, and I really enjoyed playing this tank during my first games. So at the end of the video, let me quickly talk about the other options that you have on this tank. So comparing the guns that you have available, and here you can see all the different guns that you have available. On paper, the derp gun does have the best DPM. However, as I said, I do not recommend playing the derp gun for several reasons, mostly being the extremely poor gun handling statistics. Besides this, all of the 3 guns that you have available, so the 110 alpha gun, the 240 alpha gun, and also the 360 alpha gun, have quite a decent DPM. Now in this video you can see the low alpha gun, so the 110 alpha gun, with only 2.88 second reload time. So this is basically an infinitive autoloader on your tank. Plus, the huge advantage on this gun is you get a full 10 degrees of gun depression, which is excellent to play, for example, in this position right here on El Haluf. So keep this in mind. What I want to say is, in my perspective, the only real alternative to the 360 alpha gun is actually the small gun, the stock gun, because it gives you a whole lot more flexibility to play this tank on a ridge line. 10 degrees of gun depression versus 5 degrees, and the in-between gun, the 240 alpha gun, has 6 degrees of gun depression. And yeah, this is what it looks like if you can pump this damage into your opponents and shoot every 2.88 seconds. So the DPM is almost as good as on the 360 alpha gun, and this is the stock gun. So right from the get-go, this tank has a pretty decent armament. So yeah, we are farming the enemy tank, and overall I must say I really enjoyed playing this tank in the first games. And you get a good gun, a decent gun right from the get-go. You can work your way all the way up to the excellent 360 alpha gun, and then you really have a tank with an insanely good firepower. And so playing this tank was a pretty nice experience, despite the fact that it is a turretless tank destroyer, which has to be played accordingly. Alright guys, that was it for today with the new tier 6 Italian tank destroyer, the BASSOTTO. How do you like this tank? Did you enjoy playing it? Are you going to grind the new tank destroyer line? Just leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Consider subscribing to my channel, and I see you next time in another World of Tanks video.